You should have whipped out your dick.
Right.
So
Actually,
guess
this
again.
is the most dangerous.
Guess again.
Not so smart, are you?
And then he finally laughs. Just like your dad. You do look like your dad.
You do look like your dad had a fine dick.
Yeah.
It was fine.
It was fine. Hello, my little bear cubs, and welcome back to another episode of Secondhand Therapy. Now, we need to tell you, this is episode 50.
Oh, yeah, it is.
We have done 50 episodes.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 50. I can't believe this has gone on 50 recordings.
Are we doing anything special in this? We haven't talked about it.
No.
All right.
No, we're doing this.
Cool.
We need to remind you, we are not therapists. We are not experts. This is not professional advice. This is not a substitute for therapy. Do not take this seriously. If you find something useful, fantastic. If you would like to support the podcast, you can do so on Patreon at patreon.com/secondhandtherapypod. We have merch available at secondhandtherapypod.com. If you want to contact us, you can do so at secondhandtherapypod@gmail.com, or you can call us or text us at 818-850-2448.
Wow. I mean, yeah, you've really got this down.
I got it, dude.
Fuck. Enjoy the episode.
Number 50. Fuck.
So I'm stuck in this cabin in the middle of nowhere for a week, where it's raining every day. So our activities to leave the cabin are very limited.
Yeah.
And I am surrounded by miscommunication. That was the biggest.
Who are you with in the cabin? People that you know?
Yes.
Okay.
Family.
Okay.
The only
People you know well.
the remaining family that I have.
Yeah.
My aunt, my uncle, my cousin, his wife, their two little kids, I think 3 and 5.
Super annoying. Yeah.
And 2 dogs.
Got it.
We
Continue.
drove there in on a 13-hour drive from Florida to Georgia in a cargo van, all of us.
Yeah. Nah.
Somebody texted me and they were like, "How's the van ride going?" I was like, "It's all right." And they were like, "Are you guys doing sing-alongs or any music?" I was like, "No." There was no music. There was no nothing.
There's no music playing.
No.
Not conversation.
No. It was a silent ride.
Do you have headphones?
I did.
You listen to just Ave Maria on loop, just hoping that van veers off the road.
I just listened to other people having conversations, and I would just chime in every once in a while.
And that's a podcast. All right, continue. You're at the cabin.
Yeah, the biggest takeaway from this was the miscommunication.
Between these other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was either passive-aggressive or direct with no empathy.
Oh, my dad was there.
Yeah. And I don't deal well with either one.
Yeah.
And it was a real exercise on trying to remove myself from conversations or situations. And also reminding myself that energy doesn't belong to me. Yeah. And that was real hard because, as you know, I take everything real personal. But I've been doing a really good job of reminding myself that this does not belong to me.
Yeah.
That energy, those feelings, those things that even you and I have been working on, nah, that's not for me. And it felt like this was the final exam. It was like, oh, you've been studying for a while. Let's see what you've learned.
So when are you back in school?
Started back on Monday. I think I got a passing grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely didn't ace it.
Yeah.
No way. But I don't think I'm gonna have to take summer school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you do with your newfound practice of like, oh, that's not for me. That energy ain't for me. That's not for me. And just like letting it
Yeah.
like matrix on by. How'd you do?
I think I did pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was somebody that was triggering more than others. And by the end of the trip, this is why I didn't pass with flying colors, because by the end of the trip, I could feel myself making a face when I was talking to them. And I had to remind myself to like, hey man, fix your face. Yeah, because they would talk to me, or I would hear them talking to other people, and I would automatically just like,
Yeah.
fuck you want from me,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. I would say the fact you had awareness of your face is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's a C minus.
Good for you. Yeah.
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 So
C's get degrees, baby.
that's right, baby. But I also did a really good job of just leaning into, instead of fighting back or trying to defend myself, I would just accept and lean in. So like if they had something negative to say about, politically we don't really agree. And so if they were saying something about like,
Yeah, they live in Florida.
yeah, spoiler alert.
Of course they don't agree.
We don't agree politically.
Yeah.
But we were at we went to the Cabbage Patch doll place, and then
Sounds horrible.
saw a little piece of history.
No,
It was
you
great. It was so much fun.
didn't. No.
It was great.
I'm glad you had fun.
Yeah. You would have hated it.
I would have walked in and been like, oh, I'll be in the van.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But somebody was teasing me about getting a baby doll. And they're like, oh, did you find one that you liked? I was like, yeah, I saw a couple. So instead of like defending or getting weird, I just leaned into it.
Yeah.
And then they continued and they were like, oh, I know which one you want. And I'm like, oh, yeah, which one? And they pointed out like one with blue hair. And they were like, oh, because you're liberal, you'll like the one with blue hair. And I was like, yeah, she's rad. That is probably the one I'd get. And so instead of like having an argument with this person or like doing whatever, making it bigger than it needs to be, yeah, just lean into it. Because nothing I say or do is going to change their hearts and minds about anything. And it is family. And I do care about them.
By marriage, but yeah.
And so, yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, that was also a test of picking your battles, knowing when, what to care about, what really matters, and things like that. Like that didn't matter. So yeah, instead of blowing up or having an explosive argument or even a back and forth, it was just leaning in and being like, "Yep, that's the one I want. It's rad. You got me."
How'd that feel?
Great.
Yeah, a little unsatisfying or all great?
I was talking to my therapist about it. And there were moments where I was getting to my limit. And the problem with that is, it makes me want to be the old me. When I was in high
wanted
school.
to fuck 'em.
No, that's always me.
Oh yeah, that's new you.
Yeah, that's just me. No, it made me, like, growing up in high school especially, I was just the mouth. And I think we've talked about it a little bit here on the podcast. And I don't like that version of me. I didn't like those chapters.
Yeah.
And there were times where it would bring out those old tendencies or those old feelings of being like, oh, I want to hurt you.
Yeah.
Not physically.
Yeah.
I want to make you cry.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And there were moments where I was like really slipping into that, being like, oh, just leave me alone. Like, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you also have a little bit of that venom.
Oh, I can eviscerate you with words.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the things I got from my father, and it's one of the things that I was going to say hate about myself most, but yeah, hate about myself most. Love about myself least.
Oh, really?
What? Oh, buddy. I can be so mean with words.
But you don't look at it as like a last line of defense or anything like that. You just like despise it about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like it at all.
In those moments when you feel like you can feel that venom rising up, how do you diffuse that situation?
If it's with somebody close to me, I'll just be honest and be like, "Hey, I'm about to start getting mean. Like, this conversation needs to be over."
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you telling yourself though? How are you backing yourself down?
I just try to remind myself, be like, dude, yeah, it's going to feel really good to say these things, but as soon as it leaves your mouth, you're going to regret it and it's going to feel bad.
Yeah.
It's like a verbal one night stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and then it's over. You're like, what the fuck did I just do?
Yeah.
You
That,
know?
that post nut clarity only with words. You're
Yeah.
like, what are we doing here? This is a mistake.
Yeah, post roast clarity.
Post roast clarity.
Yeah. I just try to remind myself, like, dude, because for me, there's a lot of shame and embarrassment for me when I later go, hey, I didn't mean that when I said it. Because what I said is something that I know that person won't forget. And it's a really hard thing. I know looking at them be like, I didn't mean that, but they know that I thought it.
Yeah.
And how do you convince somebody you didn't mean something that was in your head?
Yeah. Yeah, once it's out, it's out.
Exactly. And what, they're going to think like, how long has he thought that about me? How long has he been holding on to that? And it just finally slipped out. It's like, no, my brain was in fight or flight and I was hurling anything I could.
Yeah.
And I knew that would land. I knew that would sting. So I said it. And I'm ashamed of myself that I said it. And I'm sorry, you'll probably never believe me that I didn't mean it, but I didn't. And I try to remind myself that, yeah, you're going to have to apologize for that. And you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to convince that person that's not what you think of them. So that's what I tell myself. Doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think mine is based, like where everything else is based, in likability. I know that once I say this thing or that I break you down or whatever, then you are going to hate me and other people are probably going to hate me. And I can't have that. Yeah. So my people pleasing keeps me in check most of the time because I'm like, kind of the same thing where like, well, I can't take it back.
Yeah.
And they'll never look at me the same way and they'll probably never forgive me. And I need even my fucking enemies to love me.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm fucked up.
Yeah, yours is all about you and mine's all about them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want them to think that forever, that I really think that of them. No, that's not what I think of you.
Oh, yeah, you know why?
Mine's about how they feel.
Yeah, you know why? Because mine are true. Mine are, like, that's how I feel. Like, when I come at you, like, when I break you down, I'm breaking you down. That's what we're doing here. You done pushed me to my limit, and you wanted to fucking keep poking me? All right.
But the lingering feeling is about the report card, not
Yep.
about the damage it did to them.
No, because I feel like they deserve the damage. Because when I'm looking at my defense mechanisms and how I was bullied as a kid and things like that, it's always being poked. Because people think they can get one over on me and embarrass me.
Right.
And so you done poked me. You sat here poking me the whole time. So guess what? You get hurt now.
So even after you say it, you still think they deserved it,
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to hurt them.
even after the post-roast clarity.
Yep. Yeah. Because they hurt me. Because I'm hurt. Yeah. And that's not healthy. I know that. But that's the truth. I'm hurt, and you think you can you think you can hurt me? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Enjoy this.
It's interesting that even after you're just like, yeah, they had it coming.
Yeah. Because
Dang,
I
that's
don't
rough.
because I don't think that they have any empathy for me. And usually, and here's the thing, because it's not an instant thing. To push me to that limit, it takes time. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, 4 or 5 minutes. 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, you just got to cut me off, and buddy. You'll feel it. No, but it has to build, and so that's the thing. Like you've been building a case with me, and so like you get jail time. I don't care you're in jail. Good, you deserve to be.
But then they think of you as like this hurtful guy, and that's upsetting for you.
No, yes, but I think I think more so they think of me as like, oh, I'm not gonna fuck with him again.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's what I want. That's the goal. Is to, you think you can get one over on me? Nah. Here's what's really gonna happen. And now once I've like checked you back or kind of let you know that that's not what we're doing here, then I hope that we can both move on and be normal or whatever. But if you can't and you do hate me or whatever, that's when it sets in for me, and I'm like, you can't hate me. You were coming at me. You expect me to just let you steamroll me all the time? Like, that's not okay.
So, if knowing that's unhealthy, what's the ideal healthy place you'd like to get to in dealing with that?
It's what I'm working on now, which is that Jedi, energy deflection of you're poking me, but I don't even feel it. I'm fucking matrixing it, I'm dodging it. Yeah, you're trying to get at me. It's not working. You can't get at me. I am fucking zen. You know what I mean? Like, you have to, I think that's the answer, is getting to that point of not accepting that behavior or not letting it stick. Because what's happening when I get pushed to that limit, that means that all these things have been sticking to me. And I need to fucking break free of that and let you know that that's not gonna happen with us.
That would be a great place to be.
That would be an amazing place to be.
That sounds nice.
It does, doesn't it?
That sounds so nice.
And I was almost there, I was so close.
Well, you went to Georgia.
And then, I went for a little walk in the woods and got snatched up.
Damn.
Yeah. I don't want it to sound like it was all bad. It was a great trip. Like, there were moments. But, yes.
It was a great trip.
Overall, yes.
Okay. I don't believe you. I heard you told me a lot about this trip.
I did.
It wasn't great.
There was a lot to unpack.
There was.
Literally and metaphorically. A lot to unpack.
But overall, it was a great trip.
Yes.
Would do it again.
Yes.
Okay. Surprising. I'm surprised to hear that.
Me too. I'm just fucking around. It was.
I know.
I always learn. I think maybe that's a piece of it that I enjoy too, is because I learn more about, well, myself, but also my family that is past when I'm with them.
Memory lane.
Yeah, memory lane for me. That's important.
Yeah.
But again, they don't always know how to present it. They're very direct and direct with no empathy.
Yeah.
And the example that I've been giving people, because I've talked to some friends about this, like you and Faber and stuff, and they're like, what does that mean? What is direct with no empathy? And the example I give is like, it'd be like a few months since you've seen them or something like that. And there's no qualms about them like seeing you and be like, oh, well, you got fat, huh? It's because if you did put on a few pounds, that's just a fact.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't feel like they're out of line, or they are not trying to like sugarcoat it or anything. It's just a fact. Like, yeah.
So I'm autistic and they aren't.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's jarring sometimes to be in that, especially being more aware and being sensitive to just having empathy in general when I'm talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that was really jarring. And when you go down memory lane, there was a night where we were talking about, again, it was a statement that was like, I forget who said it, but they were like, they mentioned that I was bald now.
Mm.
And I'm like, well, I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm choosing to shave my head. But I do, it is shaved. It's not like bald. And I don't feel like growing it out. And sometimes I do grow it out a little bit and dye it blonde, but like, that's not really for me anymore either. Like, I really like the look of it now. I like the way I look. But it came off as just like,
You're bald like your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. You took it as a hairline comment rather than a haircut compliment.
Yes.
Comment.
Yes.
Mm.
And so I leaned into it instead of fighting it or defending it. I leaned into it. And I was like, yeah, one of the things and this is me attempting to like connect and bond with them, because the whole family is in the kitchen at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, it is a little jarring sometimes looking in the mirror and, seeing myself, because I look so much like my father and my brother who's passed and things like that. Like it just, I don't know, it just throws me off. I don't feel like I look like me. I look like them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we've discussed on here.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, yeah, what's the problem with that? And I'm like, well, they weren't great men.
Nor did I know them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I look like these two guys that are my family, also kind of strangers.
Yeah. Yeah. And also being vulnerable and telling them that I don't feel like I look like myself, and these guys, again, I'm throwing out a fucking raft to be like, I'm going to be a little open here, and I'm going to see how I'm going to try to connect with you.
Yeah.
And it was just met with fact and no feelings, just like, well, I don't think so. Or like, what's the problem with that? And I was like, oh, I don't know. It's just, and I explained like, well, they just weren't good dudes, this and that. And my uncle was like, your dad was fine. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, what? He was. He's fine. And again, like, there was no empathy, no feeling, no backstory, no like, your father, I know had his problems, but he was a good man, kind of like talk or whatever. It was just like, hey, he's fine. And I'm like, okay. And then the discussion became not of feeling like them or their behaviors or their characters, which was what I was trying to connect with. But then they took it literally and just started talking about physical features, and they were like, "Nah, you look like your mom. No, you look like this. You don't look like that." And I'm like, "You don't get it."
Yeah, they're just trying to like fix your feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to connect with me or
Hear what
or
you're saying.
hear me.
Yeah, hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. That was another piece of the miscommunication that was like, I tried to bond with everybody individually as well throughout the trip, and I don't feel like I did a good job.
You think that was your fault, huh? That's crazy. That's up to self-worth.
I
think you did a fine job, probably. Probably not a receptive audience. Go ahead. Continue, please.
Like, this is my favorite example. When I was trying to bond with my uncle, who's usually a pretty quiet man, and I was driving the van, and he's sitting up front, and we passed this solar farm, a bunch of solar panels and a bunch of acres of land, and then they actually had sheep out there in the fields as well. And so my uncle's commenting on that they have livestock and these solar panels, and he'd never seen that. And the sheep are like underneath the solar panels, and they're just like wandering around. And I go, "Hey, do you think that those sheep are battery powered?" Right? Trying to be funny, trying to connect.
Yeah, failed. But yeah.
Yeah, and he said, "No, I don't think those actually charge batteries. I think the energy goes to a cylinder, and then that cylinder puts out power to the community or probably to that farm." Or
What a boring human.
and I was like, "Okay." Like, I was just trying to be fun and like connect and like have a moment. And it was like,
just like literally just a dad joke.
yeah.
Like, hey man, and just
A dad joke for a dad.
yeah.
And
Well,
just-
actually,
and the other one was, him and I were looking at this map because we were getting ready to go this waterfall hike, and there's these places on the map that are marked for rattlesnakes. And he goes, "Oh, we got to be careful. There's rattlesnakes up here," and I go, "Oh, I got to be extra careful. I think I'm allergic to rattlesnakes." It's stupid.
that's a pretty good joke.
It's pretty good. It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, but it works.
And
That's nice.
And he said with a straight face, he goes, "Yeah, rattlesnakes are highly dangerous. They're probably the most dangerous snake that you can encounter."
You should have whipped out your dick.
I was like,
So
actually,
guess
this
again.
is the most dangerous.
Guess again.
Not so smart, are you?
And then he finally laughs. Just like your dad. You do look like your dad.
You do look your dad had a fine dick.
Yeah.
It was fine.
It was fine.
It was fine.
It was fine. Meaty. It was fine.
Yeah, and so I kept having these moments where I was trying to connect with different family members and just near misses. I felt like,
Yeah.
which led me down this path of like not feeling like I was a part of the family. They're so tight knit and they're so similar, and they like all the same things, and they all talk about things that they connect with and they like, and they're so different from me.
Yeah, but they suck. Am I missing the point?
It's not about if they suck or not, or if they're good or bad or whatever. It's about family, and it's particularly it's about the only family that I have left.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Even though they suck.
And so my therapist asked me if it was a feeling of loss.
That's interesting.
And when I really think about it, I don't think it's a feeling of loss. I think it's more so just disappointment.
In what?
In the realization that we're so far apart and that we're so different.
Yeah.
I went into this trip thinking that I could connect and that I could find these similar things that we would have in common, and because I already knew that we were different,
Yeah.
but I was on a mission to find out ways that we were alike.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I came up short again. And that's tough when that's all you got.
Yeah, but you didn't come up short because of you.
Does that matter?
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, it matters.
Yeah, because you can only control so much. Everything in your control, you did. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. I just kept feeling outnumbered.
Yeah, you were. It sounds like you were definitely outnumbered.
Yeah, so even if I were to speak up about something or try to change somebody's mind or, have them think of it in a different way, I'd be the only one fighting that battle. And I'd be fighting for other people.
Do you want to be like them?
No, I want them to be more like me.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating thing.
Yeah.
I want... Yeah, I want to bring them over to this side a little bit. Come have some empathy with me. Come look at things a little different. Come open your mind a little bit.
Do you want them to be more like you, or do you want them to be more like Mom?
I don't know why you got to go and say something like that.
That's just the obvious question. Mom was funny. She had a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that fucked me up.
Sorry.
You're fine. I just keep thinking, like, is it Mom? Is it me? No, it's just family. I just want to belong again. I don't belong anywhere.
Nah, that's not true. You're right where you belong, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact. You are where you belong.
Just alone.
You're not alone. Stop. I know you feel alone sometimes. You're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The fucked up thing is, now we're talking about, I think that they want me to be more like them.
For sure.
I know that they look at me like I'm sensitive and need to be handled with care and like all these things. But the truth is, I'm the strong one.
Yeah.
I'm the one doing the work. I'm the one that's fucking trying to figure my shit out. I'm the one that's like...
You're the one not afraid to feel something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But...
they're terrified of that.
in their eyes...
that's weak.
I'm the weak one.
Yeah. Yeah. Strong people don't feel. They dismiss. They dismiss and push through, and yeah. Yeah. You don't want to be like that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a point, where one of the kids was crying. The boy was crying.
Mm-hmm.
And the daughter was sitting next to him, the sister. And I heard my aunt say to the sister, "Why is your brother crying? Are you so ugly you made your brother cry?"
No, she didn't.
Yeah. But here's the even more fucked up thing.
I'm having a hard time believing there's something, but okay.
I've heard my mom say similar things. When children were crying, she would tell them that they would look ugly when they cry. You need to stop crying. You look ugly.
Yeah, but your mom, she was vain. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I was talking about in therapy, and I was unpacking it, and that gets passed down. My
Yes.
grandmother was very strict, and you weren't allowed to cry and things like that. And her parents were even stricter. And so those narratives get passed down until somebody goes, "Hey, don't fucking say that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell that fucking kid that."
Mm-hmm.
But there was a long time in my life where I thought that's what you told kids when they were crying.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better. I had never been experienced around kids or behavior or taught anything about self-care or emotions or anything like that until my fucking mid-30s,
Mm-hmm.
after everybody was dead. That's
Yeah.
when I started giving a fuck about feelings.
Yeah.
And so you don't know what you don't know. And so even in these moments where I have these disagreements or these outsider feelings with my family, that feels like the motto. You don't know what you don't know. And maybe they just don't know.
All that begs the question.
Yeah.
Did you say something?
No, because I was outnumbered. Because I felt like if I were to say, they already view me as weak and fragile and sensitive and all these things. So if I were to speak up and be like, "Hey, maybe don't tell that kid that," I would be outnumbered. They'd all look at me like I'm fucking crazy. Now, what my therapist did suggest is trying to make eye contact with the daughter and like rolling my eyes or being goofy or something and letting her know that like, "Hey, don't listen to her," kind of thing.
Mm.
And I didn't even have, I was just such in like shock because I couldn't believe I was hearing that. And also it took me back to seeing my mother do that.
What if you
children.
made eye contact with the little girl and then slammed your aunt's head off the counter?
Take action? No, but you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And my mom didn't know.
Yeah.
And I didn't know for a long time.
Yeah.
And oh man. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to cry. He kept it moving.
Preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because you look ugly when you cry. People don't like you when you cry.
Mm.
People don't want to be around that.
Got to make sure you please all the people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Likability, baby.